You know, it took me 15 years to go from a complete beginner to signing my first professional contract. And during this entire period, there wasn't really a day where I didn't question whether I could make it or not, because there were never any guarantees at all. So today, I wanted to offer my brutally honest advice to anyone who wants to go down the same path that I started, 18, 19 years ago now. And this may turn out to be a very long video, and if so, I apologize, and you definitely do not have to watch the entire thing. But I just wanted to talk from my heart and speak on what I think have been the most important things for me, at least, to get where I am. It may not be the most important things for any other footballer out there who have made it onto the pro level and beyond, but these will be the things that I have taken with me from my journey that I think you could apply to your own journey. And just to start off, I think that a good question to ask yourself is, why do you want it? Why do you want to become a professional footballer? Or whatever your dream is within football, why do you want to achieve that dream? What are your expectations? Because I think it can help you having a clear why. And this why may change, because the same reason that I'm pursuing a career nowadays when I'm 24 is very different from when I initially wanted to chase a career in football when I was 10 years old, and I started really to, go into this journey of pursuing a professional career. Those whys are very, very different, and that have changed along the way from when I was 14 to 17, 19, 21, now I'm 24, and this why have always changed. So try to find your why wherever you are in your journey right now, because if you manage to find that why, it will be a lot easier for you to stay motivated, because you know why you're doing what you're doing. It isn't always very easy to find this why, but take your time and, really try to figure it out, because in the long term, I think it will help you a lot to maintain the course, because that is the thing. Trying to pursue a career in football, or pursue a career in anything for that matter, that is something that will take time. And I kind of struggled with this a bit when I was younger, because I stressed about it. I thought that, well, I will be a professional by the time I'm 18. If I just put in the work, I will be a professional when I'm 18. But in reality, it isn't that simple, and you can't really predict when things will work out for you, if they ever will, because there are no guarantees. You're pursuing something that is uncertain, and the only way that you can control the outcome of that is by putting in the work and by trying to get better each and every day. And that leads us to the importance of, your day-to-day actions, because that is what will influence wherever you go in your career. Your day-to-day actions is what will determine where you end up in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years. You can have whichever goals you want to sign a pro contract in 3 years, 5 years, but if your day-to-day actions doesn't align with those goals, you will never get there. At the same time, there are no guarantees that you will get there, but there is a guarantee that if you don't put in the work in your day-to-day actions, you will never get there. That is a guarantee. And I kind of struggled with this when I was younger. I got into the habit of, I've always been a hard worker, and I think I've been at least one of the hardest workers in each and every team that I've played in. But I think I thought too much that the work would equal results and guarantee results, which it doesn't always do. But if I hadn't put in the work, I wouldn't be where I am today. And this work that I'm always talking about now in all my videos, basically, some part of me have always enjoyed that work. And some people may not understand it, and you may not have the same relationship with work and going to the pitch and going to the gym to do your individual sessions, to work on your speed and your strength in the gym, and whatever it is, research on different subjects, tactical subjects, to just improve your basic knowledge, all those things. Since I can remember when I was 10, 11, when I really started to get into, pursuing that career, since then, the work has always felt like a part of me. And I believe that that is a reason that have helped me a lot throughout my career, that I haven't viewed hard work and everything that comes with it, I haven't viewed that as a sacrifice. I have made other sacrifices, and I will speak about them later, but the work have never felt like a sacrifice. If I get up at 6 in the morning to go to the gym, followed by an individual session, that is always something that I will not say that I have enjoyed every single session, because that is not true. But for the majority of the time, I feel excited when I head to the pitch. I feel excited when I'm in the gym. I get a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of progression in my career and in my life. I feel like I'm doing something that is taking me forward. And I think that feeling is what will make you feel like the hard work is less of a sacrifice, if you're feeling that way already. But then we get into sacrifices, because there is no denying that when you're chasing something, you will inevitably have to make some sort of sacrifice. Some people will have to make more sacrifices than others, and some people will have to make less. But there will always be things that we have to say no to. I mean, I have made a ton of sacrifices to, inevitably get me to the point where I am today. And I mean, it all started basically from the start. And off the top of my mind, I can just think of when I started in my first academy. I've talked about that plenty of times on the channel. But when I started in my first academy, that meant that I had to commute. My parents had to drive me to training 1 hour and 15 minutes there, and then 1 hour and 15 minutes back. And we did that for 5 days a week for 3 years. And this was in a period where I was 13 up until I was 16. And during this entire period, I didn't have time for anything else. I barely had time to meet my friends. I saw them a lot less and less. Some kids started partying a bit when we got into, 15, 16, but that was always something that, I just stayed away from, because I had this goal and I had this vision. I didn't have the time, because I knew what I wanted to do, and I made that sacrifice to leave that aside. But if you really want something, if you really want to chase a professional career in football, then it shouldn't feel like a sacrifice. I saw my friends less and less, yes, and sometimes that made me feel sad and, depressed, but I always got back to that feeling of what I actually wanted, which was chasing that career in football. And I think that will pull you through those moments where you feel a bit, down or depressed or sad, that you have to make these sacrifices. You will get through those moments because you have this clear, as I said in the beginning, this clear why as to why you're doing it. And people often say that if you have a strong passion for something, things will just work out. And when it comes to having a passion for football, I'm not entirely sure that, I am fully in love with the game itself. I think for me, of course I enjoy football, but I think what I enjoy the most and what my biggest passion is somewhere deep down, it's about self-improvement and progression. And I think that I found my vessel, my vehicle in football, and that have been the thing that I have focused on, that have made me feel a sense of progression and improvement in my life. And I think my biggest passion, football is a passion, but my biggest passion is improving and getting better and seeing those results. I think that is what drives me the most. I think I'm not obsessed with football, I'm obsessed with success. And I have found my biggest success within football because that's what I decided to focus on back when I was 10 years old. And now I've been doing that for, 18 years or 19 years in total next year. And I think this obsession have pulled me through many difficult moments in my career. And if you have that obsession with, it can be football or self-improvement or, just progression in general, I think as humans, we want to get better, we want to see improvement. But if you have that within you, I think it will be a lot easier to go through difficult moments. And, going into difficult moments and setbacks and challenges, to be brutally honest, you will most likely encounter more setbacks and face more challenges than you will have successful days. You will have successful days and you will have games where you play, absolutely incredible. Maybe you score a hat trick. Maybe you don't let anyone pass you defensively if you're a defender, or if you're a goalkeeper, you don't concede for 10 straight games and everything is just incredible, but then you get injured or something else happens. You feel lonely. And that is also something you have to understand, that football, for a lot of the time, chasing a career in football will be a lonely journey. You will maybe travel to countries where you don't know anyone, you don't have any friends, you struggle to adapt to a new culture, and you maybe isolate yourself at home and you feel lonely, but you pull through because you're obsessed with football or with success. But if you can adopt a mindset where you understand that setbacks, first of all, will happen, and they will happen more often than the successes, then I think you will be more patient. At least that's what, as I've grown older, I've realized this more and more, that a career in football is a roller coaster ride, as I always say. It's an up and down journey, and you will have more setbacks than successes. As you gain more and more experience, these setbacks don't strike you down as hard as they do in the beginning. Because when I was younger, if we lost a game, or even if I didn't score a goal, I would be upset for maybe days at some points. I took losses and I took setbacks so incredibly hard when I was younger. You couldn't even speak to me. But now, if I lose a game, I understand that it's part of the journey, and that is something that I think you will get better at as you gain more and more experience and as you grow older and older. But just realizing that, I think, will help you out a lot when you face these setbacks, that that inevitably there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you just keep putting in these day-to-day actions, if you keep putting in the work, there will be light at the end of the tunnel. Things will work out for you. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it goes quicker, but they will work out for you. And that leads us to self-efficacy, which is a quality that I think is my biggest quality as a person overall, and also as a footballer then. And self-efficacy is the belief that whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve that. And ever since I was a kid, up until today, if I take on something, if I want to do something, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that I can't achieve it. I know it will be hard, and I know there will be a lot of work that goes behind that, but if I want to do something, in my mind, I will achieve that thing. I know that there will be setbacks, I know that there will be challenges, and I will have doubts along the way that I will actually be able to do it, but somewhere deep down, I never give up on that thing that I've set my mind to. And I think that is why I managed to sign that contract. I signed my first pro contract after 15 years, when I was 22 years old. And in my mind, when I was a teenager, I thought that when I'm 18, I will sign my first professional contract. And I got to 18 and I didn't. And then I thought that, well, another year, 19. And then I was like, no, I'm still not a professional. I'm not even close. And then these doubts started creeping in. Will I be able to achieve it? Should I just give up? But as I said, my self-efficacy has been so high that I just kept going. I kept going. 20, 21. I got a great season when I was 21. And then finally, 22, I managed to put pen to paper and sign that contract. Now, that wasn't the highest level of professional football, and that was not what I had envisioned when I saw my first professional contract in front of me. But officially, it was my first professional contract, and it was a big milestone for me in my career to achieve that. But going back to you, if you can relate to this feeling of self-efficacy, that if you have a goal and a dream and you can't see yourself doing anything else, and you know that I will be able to achieve this. If I put in the work, I will achieve this. And if there is no doubt in your mind when you're thinking these thoughts, I believe that you will be able to succeed with what you want. But don't get me wrong, there will be days when you have doubts, or even weeks or months when you think that, is this really worth it? Should I give up? But if there's this thought that always pulling you back, always pulling you forward, that is self-efficacy in its purest form. And if you have a strong sense of self-efficacy, you will pull through. And that is definitely my greatest strength, at least my biggest mental strength as a player and as a person, that I believe that whatever I set my mind to, I will achieve that. And I signed my first pro contract at 22, and after that, I have been struggling a bit on deciding what the next step should be for me, because somewhere I felt that I achieved the dream, but it wasn't the dream I had when I was a kid, because that was at a higher level. But I still signed a pro contract. It was a big milestone. But after I did that, during these last 2-3 years, I've had a hard time on deciding what the next step is for me. But I'm inching closer and closer to a decision, and I will speak more about that in the coming weeks. That is also another thing that I told in the beginning, to find your why and all that, but sometimes along the way, you will not know what the next step is. You will not be in control, and you will have to be okay with not being in control all the time. Because most of the time, the only thing you can control is what you do, the work you put in and everything I mentioned. But the majority of the things in your life, you can't control. You can't control if you get to the place you want, if you get into the team you want, the academy. You can't control your performance in a game because there are 21 other players out on the field who has something to say about it. You can't control the outcome of a game. You can't control the outcome of a season. The only thing you can control is what you decide to do on a daily basis to make sure that you're set up and prepared to do your best in life and in football. But going on from self-efficacy, I think my second biggest mental strength and weakness at the same time, which is kind of weird, has been my patience. Because without that patience, I wouldn't have endured. I wouldn't have played the long game. Because I see players nowadays, they say that they want to start playing at a late age. Let's say they want to start playing at 17 years old. And they ask me if they can go pro. And I don't think it's impossible. I think that if you believe that it's possible, I think that you can achieve it. But don't expect to achieve it in 1 or 2 years. Expect to play the long game. Maybe you will have to play for 10 years. Maybe you'll have to play from 17 to 27 before you get a chance to sign your first pro contract, or maybe even longer. So be ready for that. It can go quicker too, of course, but be ready to play the long game. See it as a marathon. See your football career as a marathon and not a sprint. And have that patience and that acceptance that it will take a long time. But also try to be impatient in that you want to try to get there as fast as possible. You don't want to, relax and sit back and think that, well, I'm playing the long game, things will work themselves out. Because I can tell you they won't. You will still have to put in the work, and you will have to have this impatient mindset in that you're doing the small things every day to try to reach your goals as fast as possible, but also understand that it will take a long time. And then I think the most important thing, which I forgot for many years of my career, and which I think is very common, is that you forget to enjoy the journey. Because when I was in my teenage years and as a kid as well, I always looked forward. I looked to the next thing. I looked to, getting into the academy, getting into, a senior team, getting into a professional team. And that is good. You want to look forward. You always want to look for the next step, but don't forget to also live in the present. Don't forget to enjoy every game. Feel every touch of the ball. Because in reality, what you're chasing is the present moment, but in the future. You're chasing, let's say, a pro contract within 5 years, within 10 years. Okay, but when you get there, then what? Then you will start chasing the next thing, because you've signed your first pro contract. Now you want to find a better team in a better league, get a better contract to provide for your family or whatever it is. But every step of the way, try to enjoy the day-to-day life. And that's going back to what I said. I've always enjoyed the work. I've always enjoyed going to the pitch early in the morning when it's raining by myself. I've enjoyed that. I found joy within that. Also going to the gym. Found joy in lifting weights, in feeling pain, because it had made me feel a sense of progress and a sense of improvement. And I think that is the most important thing when you're enjoying the journey. You don't necessarily have to love the work as I have done, because we're all different, but let's say you like to be with your teammates. Try to really soak that in. Try to enjoy your company with your teammates, or whatever it is. I can't speak for everyone, but just enjoy the present moment, because that is what you will remember when you hang up your boots in the future. And going into hanging up your boots, because your career will go faster than you think. Right now you may be in your teenage years, or maybe you're just started, or I don't know where you are in your journey, but I am 24 now. And I'm still young, I'm healthy, and I have many years ahead of me. But these years, basically from my teenage years until today, they flew by. And I wish I would have stayed more in the moment during some periods, instead of always looking forward. Just understand that your career isn't very long, and you should enjoy it and try to make the most of it in that little period that you have. Maybe it's 20 years of a football career. And when those 20 years are done, they are done, and you can't go back. And you don't want to, at least this is what I feel, I don't want to live in a life of regret. And that is why I jump on every opportunity that I see, because I don't want to sit there when I'm 35, 40, whenever, and think that, oh, I should have done that, or I should have done that. Because when I'm there, that is impossible. It's impossible to go back, because time is the most valuable resource that we have. It's finite, we can't make more of it, and we can't go back. So try to enjoy your football right now, in this moment, wherever you are. Always look forward, always look to the next thing, chase that thing with all you got, but don't forget to live in the moment and enjoy the journey. This was a rambly video. I just spoke from the top of my head and shared some of what I think have been the most important things for me in my journey. And hopefully you can take something away from this video. But that is it for this time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.